Are virtual assistants only good for small tasks? Are they hard to manage, and do they really get your business? These are the questions I hear all the time from entrepreneurs. And as experts in hiring virtual assistants, we have seen every possible scenario. I've heard every myth out there. My name is Valentina Brega. Welcome to Build with VAs, the show where we talk about how to scale our businesses with the help of international talent, virtual assistants. So today, my goal is to debunk some of the biggest myths when it comes to working with virtual assistants, because if other people thought about this, you might have thought about this as well. So let's look into what is really a myth and what is the reality, and what can virtual assistants actually do for you. My name is Valentina Brega. Welcome to Build with VAs, the show where we talk about how to scale our businesses with the help of international talent, virtual assistants. We talk about how to find them, how to train them, how to manage them, how to onboard, how to pay VAs. My goal is that if you have a question about working with virtual assistants, you will find the answer on this show. So scroll down, look through all the other episodes that we had, and I hope that you will find the answer you're looking for here. So welcome to the show, and let's dive right into this. Myth number one is that all VAs do is basic, routine, boring stuff like data entry. I interviewed a virtual assistant who is working now as an acquisition rep for a real estate company. And what he does is phenomenal. He is in Egypt and he calls people on the phone, home sellers. He negotiates deals. He gets people under contract. He gets money into the company being halfway around the world. The guy is phenomenal. And he's not the only one that we hired like that. We hired multiple people who take big roles, important roles in companies, someone to help the executive. So we have executive assistants who can book traveling, manage calendars, manage emails, a lot of very, very important things, critical thinking tasks that every entrepreneur needs to have. We also hired bookkeepers, amazing bookkeepers that could potentially replace the CPA of a company, video editors, SEO managers, social media content creators. You think about it, like we have probably found this. We've worked with so many people. We have placed thousands of virtual assistants by now with companies, and we have seen everything. And there are definitely a lot of talented people worldwide who can do a lot more than just basic stuff. Yeah, there are VAs who can do basic stuff, and some companies only use virtual assistant for little things. But don't limit yourself. If you're looking for a specific position and you think it needs more brain power, more critical thinking, don't just limit yourself by looking at the pool around your office. Extend the pool, look worldwide, and I can guarantee you'll find someone very good. There is someone out there who can solve your problem. You just gotta find them. Myth number two, virtual assistants are just not as reliable as in-house staff. I don't think it has anything to do with geography. You can have amazing people here locally in the US. You can have amazing people internationally. You can have bad people here. You can have bad people internationally. And if you follow this show, 2 episodes ago, I spoke with an entrepreneur who told us about his negative experience working with local staff here in the US, how they stole data from him. It was just a very ugly situation, and how appreciative he is of working with virtual assistants because he thinks they have a better work ethic, are more appreciative of working on the US market, and just overall not as entitled. His words, not mine, right? But what I'm saying here is people are people everywhere. So when you look for someone, I don't think the choice would be whether you're looking for someone local or international. The choice would be look for someone with integrity rather than person who doesn't have any integrity. And it comes from how you write the job ad, how you attract the right people, how you vet them. So if you work with a company, every company that works with virtual assistants, they should at least have a process of how to vet people to only give you good candidates. I can speak for my company, for my agency. We put so much emphasis on this, so much importance in vetting people so that, we give you the best candidates. And the reality is that the majority of people are not good. That's just the reality. But it doesn't mean it's not because they're virtual assistants. I'm sure if we hired someone here locally in the States, we'll probably have the same statistics. We have to interview 100 people to find 1 or 2 good ones. That means 98, 99 people out of 100 are not good enough for our company, not good enough for our standards. So think about what it means in terms of the work that needs to be put into finding the right person. And one reason that we disqualify people is because we suspect they may not have integrity. Maybe they left their job in suspicious manner. Maybe they job hopping, getting from one job to another very quickly within a couple of months. In any case, we have to be very careful about who we bring on board to you. And we also check references. So we talk to previous company owners and we dodged a couple of bullets. People say, I never worked with that person before, or do not hire that person. This is what happened. So it helps us to give you the best people. What I'm saying here is people are people everywhere. People can have good morals or bad morals everywhere. The secret lies into how to identify the ones that would be a good fit for you. And if they're not a fit for you, then replace them, because there are a lot of other people out there who'd be happy to work for you. Myth number 3, I can afford to hire a virtual assistant. Virtual assistants are so expensive. Some entrepreneurs think that it's cheaper to do the work themselves. Not actually cheaper, it's actually free, right? Because they don't have to pay anyone. It's their free labor, so they don't have to pay anyone. They don't have any expenses. They're just going to do the tasks. But they don't factor in the ROI of their time. They don't factor in the value of their time. So when people tell me that I can't afford to pay a virtual assistant, I'm just going to do it myself, this only shows me that you've been focusing on the wrong activities up until this point. That's why you can't afford to hire a virtual assistant. And how much longer do you want this to be an issue? If everything you've done so far has led you to this point where you can't afford to hire someone, it doesn't matter if it's a VA or someone local, but let's be honest, if you hire a VA, it's much more affordable than hiring someone local. So if you can't afford a virtual assistant, you definitely cannot afford to hire someone here in the States. But if all the activities you have done so far has led you to this point, then what makes you think that continuing on this path is going to lead to different results? It's not. Something needs to be changed. That means you are not valuing your time to what it's really worth or what can bring more value. You are stuck in little things, in little routine tasks that could be outsourced to someone for $5, $6, $7 an hour. So you're basically telling yourself that your time is worth $5, $6, $7 an hour when you know you could be using this time to network with other people, to read or expand your knowledge and communicate, or just roll up your sleeves and do the big needle moving activities that's going to bring hundreds of dollars per hour for your company or thousands of dollars per hour for your company. This is possible. So all the activities have led you to this point are not the right activities. If you can afford to hire a virtual assistant, something's got to change. That means you have to delegate whatever's taking up your time now so you can eventually afford to hire people and scale your business. Myth number 4, virtual assistants don't stick around for long. Well, is there any guarantee that your local hire will stick around? Are there any guarantees in business at all? No, they're not. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know if your marketing channel is going to work, and yet you're working on this, hoping that it's going to work out. You don't know if your clients are going to stick around. There's no guarantee for that. There's no guarantee that there won't be another pandemic that will put everything on pause and hold and, will completely change the world of business. Nothing is guaranteed in business. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't take risks. So when you hire someone locally, you don't know if they're going to stick around. Can I promise you that your VA will stick around? No, I can't. Because again, that's people we're dealing with, and there are a lot of factors involved in this. Maybe it's your management style. Maybe that VA had an emergency, or maybe it's the virtual assistant who wasn't vetted properly and all they do is job hopping and they weren't even planning on sticking around to begin with. There's so many variables here at play. So that's why it starts with finding the right people, someone who had a good track record of sticking with companies for longer term, someone who's an expert, someone who values their reputation and wants to grow rather than chase the next dollar. People who chase the next dollar are never going to stick around. They don't want to grow. They think short term. You want to have a person who thinks long term. So when you hire someone on board, show them the path, show them the growth, show them what they can go to or what they can get to in the next year or 2 years or 3 years. Share that with them. I am so lucky to have had my virtual assistants be with me for years. And we have worked with so many clients who have had their virtual assistants since the very beginning. So I know this works. It's not about whether this works or not. I know it works. I have countless, examples to show you when virtual assistants have stayed with companies for long. I actually know some entrepreneurs who have had the same VA for 10 years and they don't want to go anywhere. They like that stability. So this is definitely a myth and it's been debunked so many times. Myth number 5, it's so hard to communicate with virtual assistants. Now when I hear this, I'm not sure what to think of this. There are two possible scenarios. One, their English is not good enough, so that's why it's hard to communicate with them. Or two, you don't know the platforms or you don't have the system in place to communicate with them. So let's address each of them separately. One, their English is not good enough. Yes, this happens. There are a lot of virtual assistants who don't speak English as a first language, and it really shows. They have a very thick accent. They don't understand the cultural references. This happens a lot. However, there are a ton of virtual assistants who speak English better than me. I mean, I have a little bit of an accent. I get it. I'm not American myself, so I'm aware that I have an accent. And yet when I speak to some virtual assistants, they're like, you could not tell them apart from native speakers. We have had people who are so well-spoken, people who have lived in the States even, who grew up here. So there are a lot of different possibilities when you can get a virtual assistant with minimal to no accent at all. And that's actually one of the reasons why we disqualify people who apply to work with us, because if their accent is so strong and they're not very easy to understand, we disqualify them immediately, because we want to work with people who are easy to work with, especially if they have a phone position. Now, let's talk about accent here, because what if you need to hire someone who is not on the phone? What if you need to hire someone who's behind the scenes? Is the accent really really that important. We have our SEO guy. He's from India. He has a pretty thick accent. Doesn't matter to us because he's crushing it when on the SEO side. Yeah, he speaks English very well, but the accent sometimes is, comes much stronger than other candidates that we have had. But skill-wise, he's very good. As long as he's not in touch with my clients, as long as he's not speaking directly with people, it really doesn't matter to us. So the fact that it's hard to communicate with the VAs, that's not true. We communicate in writing very, very well, even if that person has a strong accent. Now, the second part of that, what do you mean it's hard to communicate with the VAs? Do you mean like you don't know what platform to use? Technology nowadays makes it so easy. Use something like Slack, like Zoom, WhatsApp, Viber. We use Viber in our company. It's the same as WhatsApp, and but we just use it because we like it. We've used it for years, and we're pretty used to that. So you can have different groups. You can chat one-on-one. You can have private groups, open groups. So it's very, very easy. You can call people. You can video chat. You can send files. It's all there. Slack is also a great option. A lot of businesses use that. The only problem with Slack, though, if you're using the free version, is that you can only access the messages for 90 days. So if you need to have access for more than 90 days, you either use the paid platform or you use something else, like WhatsApp, for example. So it's very easy to communicate with VAs. We don't live in an era where we have to rely on emails alone. Everything is instantaneous. And that's why so many companies choose to work with virtual assistants, because there is no difference working with VAs or working with someone local in terms of communication, in terms of easiness, in terms of access. So this myth has been busted. Myth number 6, virtual assistants just don't understand my business needs. So when I speak with entrepreneurs, a lot of times I find out that a lot of business owners don't understand their business needs. So we have strategy calls at HireTrainVa, right? We sit down, we talk about your business, I ask some deep thought-provoking questions, and then we go deep into understanding what is really holding you back. And we found out that business owners, they come to the sessions thinking they have a problem, and after we discuss it, they completely understand that, wait, actually that's not the problem. I have something else. It's a different problem that I need to take care of. So this only shows me that, look, we're all humans. We're not perfect. Just with the fact that you're a business owner, it doesn't mean you have it all figured out. In fact, you're probably so stuck in the nitty-gritty that you need somebody to see your business from a bird's eye view to tell you, like, this is probably what's holding you back, or where are you steering this ship? Where are you going? Where are you taking this? Just like a fresh perspective. So what I found that a lot of business owners don't have that clarity, don't understand the business needs. However, when they put it down, pen to paper, when they write down the expectations, when they write down the role that they want to give to virtual assistant, when they put down the SOP and the why behind it, why do you need this person to solve what problem? And then if this person solves this problem, you're going to have some free time. What are you going to do with that free time? How are you going to use it? Most business owners, they use their free time to chase the next shiny object. And then they overwhelm from that side. And this business doesn't get a lot of attention. The new business gets a little harder. So, the shiny object gets a little harder, and then it doesn't get a lot of traction either. So we ask questions like, okay, you're going to free up this time. What are you going to do with this time? How are you going to use it? Okay. And then we can spot this information when they say something like, I want to try this new venture, or I want to try something else, right? So then we challenge this perspective just to make sure that you understand your business needs. And then if you have that clarity, you can translate that clarity to someone else, to be it a virtual assistant or someone here locally. But you know exactly what needs to be off your plate, for what reason, and what kind of success or what kind of results does that person need to show you to know that the delegation is being successful. If you master to do this, I guarantee you that you will have people who will follow all your instructions, because no virtual assistant or no employee ever wakes up in the morning and says, man, I can't wait to suck up my work today. I can't wait to be horrible. Nobody says that. People want to do a good job for you. Right? So let them. The reason why they don't do a good job for you is probably because they don't understand what you need, because it hasn't been communicated to them. Simple as that. Myth number 7, virtual assistants don't integrate with my company. So don't treat virtual assistants as freelancers, treat them as employees. I always give this advice to people I work with, and this is true to me. Like, I use this in my company as well. I treat them as employees, not as freelancers. They're not a separate island. They need to be included. They need to feel part of the team. So that way they can give you more. Okay, so this is what we do. In our company, we use personality tests to make sure they integrate well with the other team members. I made another episode exactly on personality tests. There are 5 most common personality tests that you can use for your team. Go back, do a search, or maybe I'll link it here so you can find it easier. But this is the first step to make sure that you have a cohesive team. So I understand when I'm hiring someone, I understand what kind of person would do well for that role, and then I'm looking for that person for the role. There are a lot of personality tests. Some of them are free, some of them cost some money, but Even the ones that cost money, they have some kind of free version that you can use, and you don't have to have anything sophisticated. But besides the personality test, another thing you want to do is you want to include them in meetings, include them in problem solving, be vulnerable, share your problems with them. I have meetings with my virtual assistants and I say, hey guys, look, I'm not happy with how my social media looks. I'm not happy with how this is going. I'm not happy. What can we do? Let's brainstorm. Let's find ideas. Let's do this. I don't expect them necessarily to give me the brilliant idea that's been in front of me and I haven't seen it. I don't expect that. But these conversations, they have inclusivity. They feel included in the team dynamic, in solving problems. People love to solve problems. And especially if they do bring a good solution to you, think about the boost of confidence it gives them, and also the appreciation of you towards your virtual assistant. So make sure you include them in meetings, have regular check-ins, give them feedback. Don't wait to give them feedback because you don't want to upset hurt their feelings. Give them feedback right at the beginning so they know exactly how to course correct, rather than them doing a project for a long time and they've been doing this for years and now you give them feedback and they may take it personally. So encourage communication, encourage feedback, and include them. That's it. Just include them. They're not freelancers. They're your team members. They are crucial members of your team to help you scale your company and help you grow. That's it. That's the way you should see your virtual assistants, as crucial members of your team. Myth number 8, training a virtual assistant is too time consuming. Well, this is actually not a myth. This is reality. It is time consuming, and you do have to train your virtual assistant. I'm sorry, there's no way around this. You have to let them into your company, or you could have somebody else in the company train them. But the idea is they need training, whether it's from you, whether it's from someone else. It is time consuming. Training a new employee or a new virtual assistant means somebody from the team will have to put everything they're doing on hold and bring this person on board and train them. So that's why a couple of things need to happen. Make sure that this time that you or your employee has or dedicates to training the new hire, make sure it's worth it. Make sure you bring the right person on board, or at least a person who has a lot of potential. Don't just hire out of desperation. So make sure you pre-screen people and vet them very well so that this time would be worth. But even if so, let's say you're training a person. A lot of the times, virtual assistants, they come with knowledge in that specific industry and for that specific role that they don't require a lot of training. Maybe just show them the ropes of how you're using different systems, different tools, but they don't require a lot of training. So they can hit the ground running on day one. There are other situations when you actually hire virtual assistants because they have that experience and they can train you if necessary. I always bring this example of video editing. I know nothing about video editing, so I'm not going to hire someone that I'm going to train them on how to edit my videos. I'm going to hire someone who's going to edit the videos for me, and first I'm going to give them a little sample, a little test. I like what it looks like. Good, you are the expert. I'm going to hire you because you are the expert. So not all virtual assistants need training on the skill set per se, but they all need training on you, on your company, on your values, on your goals, on who you are as a brand. Because the better they know you and the better they understand your company, the better they can serve you. Imagine a video editor who doesn't know your preference, who doesn't know your tonality, who doesn't know your brand, who doesn't know your colors. It's just not going to be cohesive. Imagine a social media manager who doesn't know about you, about who you are. How are they going to show your story? How are they going to highlight your business? How are they going to take the best out of you and show this to everyone else? So no matter who you hire, no matter what you hire for, train them on you and train them on the skill set if they need to. Yes, it is time consuming. You can't go around that. It's either your time or somebody else's time, but someone has to do it. But it does pay dividends in the long run. Myth number 9, virtual assistants are so hard to manage. I mean, if you think about this, it kind of makes sense. These are people they're not next to you in the office. They're halfway around the world. So you have to manage the emails, calendars. How do you communicate with them? What if this happens? You have to micromanage them. How do I know they're even working on my stuff? This is complicated. These are not easy questions. But technology nowadays makes it so much easier to work with international staff. I mean, we have communication tools like I mentioned, Slack, Zoom, and so on. We also have time tracking devices, something that can tell us whether or not the VA is working on our stuff, such as hubstaff.com or such as timedoc.com. The virtual assistant will clock in, will clock out, and while they're clocked in, the system takes screenshots of their activity and it also shows you how much they're moving their mouse and their keyboard, so you know they're actually doing the work and not just looking at an empty screen. So there are so many tools out there. And if the pandemic showed us anything, is that it's very possible to work remotely and it's very possible to work successfully successfully being remote. And after the pandemic, I think more and more people started believing in the success of working with virtual assistants, because there's no difference in managing someone here locally who works from home or someone in the Philippines or Egypt who works from home. There's no difference. There are a lot of tools, a lot of systems in place to help you with that. And what about micromanaging, you might ask? Yeah, it's easier when you have somebody in the office, but you wouldn't micromanage them all the time either, because that's bad business for you. You're not in the business to babysit people. You gotta have people that you can trust and who give you the output you're looking for. If not, then gotta change the right person, because there's no lack of talent worldwide. There's a lot of talent. So if this didn't work out the first time, or maybe if you've been burned before because of that, don't let this bad experience burn you twice. Don't let this bad experience keep you from hiring the next best virtual assistant who might just be the answer for your business. And we've seen it multiple times. I've talked to so many people who said, oh no, I've been burned before by virtual assistants. They're so hard to manage. I can't communicate with them. It's just not possible. And I'm not hiring again. So don't let this burn you twice. The bad experience is going to keep you from hiring the next best person. So if it hasn't worked for you, you just haven't found the right person. And myth number 10, VAs can work in my time zone. I need somebody in my time zone. I tell people this all the time. I can't believe some cultures. I have virtual assistants from the Philippines, and they all work on my time zone. All my virtual assistants from around the world, they work on our time zone. I have never had an issue with that. And especially in the Philippines, I asked them, are you guys okay with this time zone? And they said, oh yeah, this is the new normal for us. Because there are some countries in the world where this remote working is so well developed that they already know what it's like working night shifts for them, working on your time zone. This is not an issue. And if it is an issue with one VA, it's probably just that one person or two people or a handful of people. It's not the overall expectation or not the overall experience when working with VAs. The majority of virtual assistants understand that they need to work on your time zone, and they're okay with that. And in fact, when people apply to work with our company, we take them through a survey, and one of the questions we ask is, are you okay? And do you understand that you're going to have to work on US time zone? Whether that's Eastern, whether that's Pacific, it's going to have to be the local time zone. And they say, yeah, absolutely. They sign that it's okay, and they usually tell us it's no problem. And we haven't heard anyone complaining, except for one person who said that one of their VAs fell asleep during their shift. But it happens, they're people. So we just replace that person. But other than that, no one has ever complained about virtual assistant not being able to work in our time zone. So that's definitely something that's not true. So there you have it. These are the 10 most popular myths that I hear about virtual assistants. And I'm sure there are more. So if you have a specific one, put it in the comments. Let me address it. Maybe it might not be a myth. Maybe it's a reality. I would just love to share my experience and, my take on that. And hopefully it will help. So let me know in the comments what you think of this. What is something that surprised you, or what myth you haven't heard here that you would have liked to. Or let us know via email. We'd love to chat with you and make another episode just on that. So thanks for tuning in. Always good to be here. I'll see you next time.